everyone. I'm Symphony Privet. Thank you for joining us here on Featured. We hope to inspire or simply make you smile with uplifting stories across the country. Every year, nearly 800,000 Americans suffer a stroke. That comes out to just one person every 40 seconds. And those numbers came from the CDC. Jonas Evans introduces us to a man fighting to rebuild his life after a stroke.
Trevor Fisk is sweating up a storm.
I think so.
Here at Encompass Rehabilitation Center, exercise is a team effort.
I would like to see my old self do what I did just now.
5 months ago, Fisk suffered an ischemic stroke.
I stepped out of bed and I fell on the floor and I couldn't get back up. My left side was super weak. I couldn't hardly use it.
Trevor came in about 1 month after he had a stroke.
Now, with the help of his therapist, Amy, he's working back to get to that old self.
When you have somebody who is as active and healthy as Trevor, and all of that just disappeared in a day, it's devastating. We get to be the people that step in and say, let's help you fight to get this back.
You know, I'm glad that I got her because I feel like she sees something in me that she feels like she can improve upon.
Recovery can be a long and discouraging process.
Sometimes they're asking me to do things that I certainly feel I can't do.
That's why setting goals is so important, and Trevor's hits close to home.
My immediate goal is to be able to babysit my grandchildren again. I got a newborn, 15-month-old, 10-year-old. I feel like I really took that for granted before the stroke.
Each day in here is one step closer.
He had a goal right off the bat to be able to pick up his granddaughter, and he did that for the first time a few weeks ago. So he's been doing some amazing things.
I truly feel like I've become a part of the family inside this facility, and I feel like they care about me and I care about them.
In Moline, Jonas Evans.
John Deere and Habitat for Humanity are teaming up to build affordable housing in Illinois. Marshawn Gunn shows us the impact they're making and what it means to one volunteer.
Volunteers from John Deere are here at Harvester Works partnering with Habitat for Humanity Quad Cities, doing what would normally take the organization 2 months to do, all in one day.
It feels really amazing to be out here and watching people build this house.
Together, volunteers building the frame of what will soon be a 2-story house.
What we're doing today is impacting change.
It's right up the alley for volunteer Quentin Boyer.
I like to consider myself a handyman, so anything that deals with hammers or nails or nail guns, I'm all for it.
For him, it's more than just volunteer work.
We're going to help a family that, needs a home, and a home is where the heart is, and you make memories, and we want to be a part of that. If we can give that to somebody, that's a good thing.
What makes it so special is our employees love volunteering for Habitat. In the last 5 years, we've had 28,000 hours of volunteerism just in the state of Iowa.
Right now, affordable housing is at a crisis point in the Quad Cities, being over 6,000 affordable units short of what's needed according to the QC Housing Council.
Obviously, mortgage rates are at a high right now, and so people are not moving. People are at much lower rates when they purchased and or refinance, so housing stock is low. We have partner families within our program that count on us doing what we do.
Officials say partnerships and volunteers like these make all the difference.
Part of the Habitat program is we rely on our volunteers, and so we rely on our volunteers to do our framing and our drywall and our painting. All of that helps us to keep costs down.
Everyone working together to build affordable housing for those who need it. In East Moline, Marshawn Gunn.
And while summer break is obviously a time for fun for students, thousands of them across the U.S. lose daily access to school breakfast and lunches. Now, to help fill that gap, schools across Georgia are making sure students don't go without nutritious meals. Madison Rick shows us how one district is feeding thousands of students.
Preparing dozens of meals takes a certain level of coordination, but for nutrition manager Rakita Carr, it's a labor of love.
And having those time off with the kids, get other kids to love on you, neighborhood kids, parents that you graduated from and seeing their kids growing up, so it's really heartwarming.
This group of women has a combined 80 years of experience in providing your children with nutritious food.
We love the children. That's why we've been here 20 years and 30 years, all this time, because we love what we do.
A love packed in every meal, a necessity that extends beyond the school year, and Carr says it's a profession she stumbled into.
I went to school and I graduated as a paramedic, but school nutrition fell right on in with my kids and coming up through school, and then I got into it, I stuck with it.
That dedication doesn't take a summer break. Each meal kit is packed with 7 breakfasts and 7 lunches brought directly to the community for families who may not have the means to come and get it. And they'll bring dozens of those meals outside in the parking lot where you can line up to get handed one of those meal kits so you can help feed your kid throughout the summer. For many families here, those kits are more than just food, they're a lifeline.
A lot of kids depend on breakfast, lunch, and the snacks that we serve at school, but this gives us a chance to, while kids are out, and even help the parents financially bring 2 meals a day that is still nutritious to them.
Last year, the program fed over 25,000 meals. This year, they're aiming to beat that, 1 meal kit at a time. Reporting in Dublin, Madison Ricks.
One high school student's dream has become a reality, and the whole community could benefit as well. Carter Threet has that story from Arkansas.
For Elizabeth Seppi,
this is Common Ground at the Hot Springs Welcome Center.
She and some of her Hot Springs High School classmates found common ground over this idea.
We're here to pour back into our community, providing fresh produce to underprivileged families in need.
The idea for a community garden has been growing for several years, but one thing Seppi needed was money for materials, and she got it.
Reynolds Consumer Products is funding this entire project. They have donated the means to buy all of our materials, and they're also getting their hands dirty with us.
A lot of people were getting their hands dirty at Saturday's groundbreaking. A Reynolds HR manager was one of them. She tells me that a lot of people don't realize the well-known Reynolds Wrap starts in this very area.
The Hot Springs Rolling Mill is right here it's in Malvern. They've been here since 1978, and that's where the whole Reynolds Wrap process starts.
Reynolds was looking for a way to get more involved locally. They found it with Seppi.
And when we heard about the community garden, we're like, okay, that would be a great way for us to make a difference, for us to actually have an impact, a lasting, sustainable impact into the community.
Seppi hopes this garden will have that lasting impact.
It's more permanent than just going in somewhere and volunteering for a short period of time and then picking something else the next year.
The impact for this project will continue long past 2026. But for Seppi, this time will always be special.
It's super encouraging and exciting to see this dream finally come true.
In Hot Springs, Carter Thweet.
Well, it sounds like a teacher's dream job. Small classes, involved parents, an idyllic setting. But there's just one problem: nowhere to live. Well, that's the situation in the San Juan Islands, located right off of Washington State. A housing crunch is creating a teacher shortage. Eric Wilkinson shows us the mission to make an impossible dream come true.
The bell rings by hand at Shaw Island School. At 136 years old, it's the longest continuously operating schoolhouse in Washington. With that distinction comes its own set of challenges. The biggest isn't crumbling classrooms for kids. It's non-existent bedrooms for teachers.
It's very crucial because that's our main obstacle of finding teachers and keeping teachers, is having a place for them to live that they know is permanent.
Maybe 2 centimeters on each side.
Diane Clifton has taught in this 2-room schoolhouse for 17 years. During that time, she's had to move 4 times to various rental properties.
It's really hard to keep uprooting and having to move and struggling to find a place.
On this island of about 150 people, the median price for a house is $1 million, and rentals are essentially non-existent. Commuting from the mainland or another island becomes a 14-hour day minimum. Rebecca Hogue graduated from Shaw Island School. Her daughter Isla is a kindergartner.
It's a really magical place, and I can't think of a better childhood for my kids.
Rebecca worries about the future of education here because the island needs another teacher, but can't recruit one due to the lack of housing.
I think it's always been an issue, and it's always been in the back of everyone's minds to provide, our teachers with a stable place to to be.
They've been talking about building teacher housing here for 30 years. Now they're finally making it happen. The community raising $1 million to build this home. For that price on this island, you get a 1,300 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-story home, just about walking distance to work. But it's a castle to the people of Shaw, priceless, especially to Diane Clifton, who hopes to move in when it's done this winter.
It would be lovely to have, a really great feeling to have a place where you know that you have a place to rest your head every night.
Whoever moves in will pay rent and could soon have a neighbor. The plan is to start the whole process all over again and build a second house on this property for a second teacher. The Little Red Schoolhouse with a heart and now a home.
And we won't have to ever worry about where teachers are going to live ever again.
The school bell soon to be accompanied by a doorbell.
I think it's really incredible what a community can do when they come together to solve an issue like this.
On Shaw Island, Eric Wilkinson.
That is wonderful. Still ahead this morning, one high school softball player in Arkansas is getting a dream come true amidst her fight with cancer. We'll tell you about her special trip. Plus, it's a simple daily routine most of us take for granted, and it could soon become accessible for more people struggling in Texas. We'll show you how a nonprofit is working on a project that could change lives in a very personal way. Welcome back. One softball player's big dream is coming true. Presley Clardy is a high schooler in Arkansas. She's battling cancer right now, but through her fight, her love of softball shines through. Maya Ellison shows us a surprise Presley will remember forever.
For Presley Clardy, this story starts at the age of 4.
My parents just kind of put me in it and I really fell in love with it. Then later when I was 8, I became a pitcher.
And she never looked back. What makes her so unique as a player?
I think when she's on the mound, she is very focused. She doesn't let anything rattle her.
I have ice for blood and I love playing the role of a pitcher. You control the game.
That mentality made her unstoppable as a Glen Rose freshman. But right before the new season began, the unimaginable happened.
Well, she actually found it. Presley did in her neck on Christmas Eve, matter of fact. And the doctor, her PCP, was very proactive and decided to go ahead and get an ultrasound ordered and an x-ray done.
Presley was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, a cancer affecting the lymphatic system.
Her being diagnosed, it was just, it was traumatizing, for her and us as a family.
At first, we just really didn't know what anything looked like, what her journey would be, how hard it would be.
But for Presley, the hardest part isn't the treatment. It's
not being able to play softball.
And she's never let go of her first love, using the diamond as an escape to practice day to day.
Practicing softball kind of helps me get away from this. Gets my mind off things.
Her resilience caught the eyes of 80,000 viewers, including ESPN's Holly Rowe.
One of her assistants reached out after one of my videos went viral, and eventually Holly contacted me. She FaceTimed me and she told me I was going to the World Series.
Presley and her family gifted with an all-expense-paid trip to this year's Women College World Series, courtesy of Rose Foundation, Joy and Us.
It's a dream come true for her, to get to go watch softball because it's her life and her passion.
The big day finally arrived. Surrounded by family, doctors, and nurses, her community sent her off in style. Getting to the World Series, what are you most excited about?
First, spending time with my family and just the atmosphere.
For Presley, This moment is a reflection of a journey defined by one rule: never give up.
There is light in the darkness, and just be strong.
In Little Rock, Maya Ellison.
A nonprofit group in Texas called The Free Store is now taking on a growing need with a new project designed to help some of the community's most vulnerable people. The organization hopes to offer free showers to anyone who needs them, giving people not just access to hygiene, but also dignity and support. Here's Lydia Herrera.
It's something many people take for granted. Being able to take a clean shower whenever they need one.
Now, getting up in the morning and just taking a good cold shower or warm shower, even if you don't have any place to go, is very, very rewarding.
For 15 years, James Newton lived on the streets. Now he advocates for the homeless and says there's a lack of shower access that's 24/7.
Some of the homeless community, they work, and some of them get off at night, and when they get off, Mother Teresa's is not closed. It's closed, the Dismas may be closed, and there they are stuck again. Maybe they have to go to work tomorrow with the same clothes on and not taking a shower.
But Marlena Garza with the Free Store is changing that.
So a fully inclusive shower would mean that someone like myself, who is fully able-bodied, independent, and can fully bathe themselves, could get a shower all the way up to someone who can't, somebody who is partially or maybe even fully paralyzed.
A community shower that will be open to anyone, regardless of their situation and disability. But Garza says it won't be cheap.
Just in our space alone, I'm estimating anywhere from $700,000 to $900,000 to get it all fully done.
Strategic overview. Amanda Port with the Corpus Christi Community Center says this partnership will make a lasting impact in the city.
In general, the whole building needs repair. But to me, it's a worthy investment that I think will have measurable returns when we start seeing our unhoused people being able to get out in the community and, function better.
How long did the hot water last?
Garza says if funding comes through, the community shower could be open within the next 2 years, and says she'll keep pushing until it becomes a reality.
It gives them a space that you are not forgotten, you are seen, and we are here trying to save you.
That was Lydia Herrera reporting from Texas. Well, coming up after this break, for patients in the fight against cancer, the road to recovery can be long. How an unexpected friendship is helping one North Texas woman through the journey. Plus, ahead in our half hour, a middle schooler in Ohio is proving that what makes us different can be our greatest superpower. How he's become an advocate for acceptance. Welcome back. Many cancer survivors will tell you they haven't gone at it alone. Sean Giggy explains how a set of wheels and a new friendship are helping on the road to recovery.
Here we go again.
Let's get you in. It's only a few miles, but 75-year-old Vernadine Trotter says these weekly trips give her life.
It's just awesome to know that people love me that much.
A few years ago, Vernadine was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer.
Wow.
There is no cure, but she says the biggest threat to her survival isn't that grim expectation, but rather her transportation.
Oh, it was detrimental.
The number one reason why people miss their cancer treatment appointment is because they can't get to that appointment.
That's why the American Cancer Society North Texas Vice President Jim Brown says the nonprofit created the Road to Recovery program. Using their own cars, own gas, and own time, volunteers make sure cancer patients never miss an appointment. You doing okay?
Yeah.
Joe Farrell started driving Vernadine to Baylor Scott and White Medical Center McKinney a little over a year ago.
But it's really, really neat.
But beyond being a chauffeur, Joe has become a vital part of her healing.
He's like my little brother. He's family, true family.
Joe's only responsibility is delivering Bernadine to treatment and home again.
You all right?
But he's taken it upon himself to go way above and beyond, running errands, picking up prescriptions, even treating her to ice cream. But for everything he's given, Joe says he's received the real treat.
It's unbelievable. The warmth that you feel back from them is enough to keep going.
I've never had such confidence in people, knowing that they really, truly care about you.
Two strangers brought together by a nonprofit. Although Joe believes the connection was much more divine.
You know, I'm not an overly religious person. I'm a practicing Catholic, but it's, you know, she was sent to me somehow to make me a better person.
Meeting the needs of others, guaranteed to give you a lift. In McKinney, I'm Sean Giggy.
Awesome ending to that story. Coming up, for 20 years, she's taught some of Idaho's smallest students, but the lessons she's left behind reach far beyond the classroom. We'll introduce you to a beloved kindergarten teacher as she prepares to say goodbye. And a group of young musicians have played in theaters and concert halls, but their most meaningful performance may be between the kennels. How the soothing sounds are helping animal shelters heal. Thank you for staying with us here on Featured. I'm Symphony Privet, and we are continuing to bring you uplifting stories across the country. One late high school student in Texas was honored on what would have been his graduation day. Jobin Paniker shows us his twin brother's emotional moments. Take a look.
Giada Lopez.
Assad Mahida.
When Memorial High School held its graduation ceremony on Thursday, it came with a special moment.
Hunter Metcalf.
Not everyone who graduated was there to walk the stage and pick up their diploma. In April of 2025, Austin Metcalf, a junior, was stabbed and killed at a track meet. Another student, Carmelo Anthony, was charged with murder. Which brings us back to the ceremony. Austin would be walking this stage with his twin brother, Hunter. Instead, Hunter is also walking for him. He receives his diploma, gets his recognition,
Hunter Metcalf.
and then walks down the steps, comes right back around to receive his brother's diploma.
Hunter Metcalf will accept the posthumous diploma in honor of his brother, Austin Metcalf.
A moment that received a standing ovation that lasted 30 seconds. The Metcalf family is under a gag order and cannot speak with media. Otherwise, they would for this moment. The murder trial is fast approaching, and Austin's name will be said many times in the next month, but perhaps not in the way it was read here.
Austin Metcalf.
In Frisco, I'm Jobin Paniker.
A group of Virginia musicians are proving you can make a positive impact, no matter the stage. They are bringing soothing sounds to an unexpected audience. Here's Sean Martinelli.
There are venues young musicians aspire to perform. For this group in Alexandria, Virginia, those aspirations have included theaters, concert halls. But between kennels?
So far, we've seen promising results from it.
That's Erin Shackelford from the Animal Welfare League of Alexandria. She says today this is nearly a sold-out show.
We are kind of tight on space right now, actually.
Yeah. The idea of bringing strings into the shelter came from 13-year-old Yuri Agarwal. He used to volunteer by reading to animals. Then he thought of something even better.
For the animals,
The music really helps calm them down, reduce their anxiety, and the fact that a human is playing it helps them associate us with good things again, because many of them had been surrendered, abandoned, and abused.
His program Wild Tunes is now in more than 20 animal shelters across America. Almost immediately, the musicians here say they noticed a shift in their audience. From yapping to listening.
It's almost like we're communicating them through sound, not through words.
Yeah, I think they want to be soothed.
But the best part of this crowd?
They won't care if you miss a note.
For Yuvi, seeing how music can transcend species.
It's just like the best part about this program.
I mean, I think it, just shows the impact that you can have no matter your age.
No matter your age or your audience or your venue, the proof is in this shelter show. In Alexandria, Virginia, Sean Martinelli.
If I were them, I think that would be my favorite performance too. Love that one. All right, moving on to our next story here. A middle school student in Ohio has had his share of challenges, but through it, he's learned sometimes the things that make us different can also help us make a difference. Here's Monica Robbins.
The middle school years can feel like a minefield of insecurity, a time when standing out takes a back seat to fitting in. Noah Cronin understands.
Just uncomfortable in general.
Better than most.
Tourette syndrome is a disability where you have uncontrollable action, where you do uncontrollable things, like moving your body or making noises.
About 1 in 50 school children in the U.S. is affected by Tourette syndrome or another persistent tic disorder, conditions that cause involuntary movements and sounds known as tics.
People started asking him in daycare, like, why are you doing that? As he would tic. And he finally asked us one day, and he was like, he asked me this and I don't know what to say, so he was too young at that point for us to explain a neurological issue, and so you're like, well, just tell him it's your wiggles and you can't help it. And that was what he went with for the longest time.
An early diagnosis gave Brian and Jessica Cronin time to plan how they'd help Noah navigate the social and emotional challenges of school.
Check this out, Daddy.
As they work through trial and error to find the right balance of medications to manage his tics.
That kid is so strong and resilient. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the motor tics cause a lot of physical pain because it's a lot of repeated movements, just over and over and over again.
To the Cronin's surprise, this is when one of Noah's first superpowers began to shine through.
The guidance counselor called us and told us about it afterwards. We couldn't believe that he just stood up there and was just peppered with questions at, I think that was first grade or second grade. So he's 7, 8 years old, handling it all by himself.
Each new school year, Noah took the reins, teaching classmates about his neurological condition. Today, the 5th grader is an advocate, not just for himself, but a champion for others, named as a youth ambassador for the Tourette Association of America. Noah went to Capitol Hill with a message for lawmakers. More support, resources, and research is needed to help people just like him.
I want to teach people with Tourette syndrome what can make their tics easier and what might make them worse, but also they are perfect just the way they are.
It's also there he met kids his own age with Tourette's for the very first time.
Seeing him be willing to be just fearless and jump into that is just really, really incredible to see.
Noah's growing confidence has brought forth even more superpowers.
I'm gonna get up and try.
A love for music, anytime, anywhere.
I'm going on doing this.
His inspiration, singer-songwriter Louis Capaldi.
I just like listening to him.
He's an amazing singer. There's also something really interesting about Louis, too. What is that?
he has Tourette syndrome.
Unlike Noah, Capaldi's diagnosis didn't come until later in life, which due to the condition's complexities happens in half of all cases. A high-profile example of Tourette's continuing challenges, something Noah will still face through middle school and beyond. But these days, Noah isn't hiding who he is. He's learning the power in simply being himself. Monica Robbins.
One teacher in Idaho is retiring after a long and impactful career educating kids. Mrs. Carter is a beloved kindergarten teacher. This year is her last, but her legacy will continue at the school that loves her so much. Maggie O'Mara shows us her heartwarming goodbye.
Sherry Carter loves to teach kindergarten.
I think that I had a calling. I've been teaching here for 20 years now. This is my 20th year. I knew I loved this school from the moment we walked in, and the rest is history.
She has nurtured and taught hundreds of little people over the years here at Cecil DeAndres Elementary.
We do life in this classroom, and we learn about life in this classroom, and we are a family. Right? Are we a family? Yeah. We're a family, and we grow together and we learn together, and the love is exponential. Like, it just doesn't stop. We make mistakes. Do we make mistakes? Does Mrs. Carter make mistakes? Yeah. No matter how old they get, they still are my kinder babies. They'll be my kinder babies in my heart forever.
This is her final year in the classroom, and it's so bittersweet.
It's hard to think about, like, saying goodbye because we fall in love with each other here. So I think just the opportunity to work with such amazing tiny humans that will change our future and that I'll have a tiny part in that makes my heart just swell.
We set up a very special surprise for Mrs. Carter.
Are you guys excited? I'm excited. I have no idea.
Oh! This is the Hamaker family.
I remember thinking, wow, she has a gift. And she has a gift to make every single child feel like they are her favorite.
Mrs. Carter has taught all of the Hamaker kids.
I have 5 kids. My oldest is Elle.
Elle is on a church mission right now.
You were seriously the best teacher I ever had. I don't think I ever had a better one, and I'm just so grateful.
And then Travis and Reese and Colt and Ty now.
They all love Mrs. Carter so much, and they all remember being in her classroom.
When you go into her class, you just kind of feel like you belong there, and like she loves you.
I think what I love about Mrs. Carter is that she just makes you feel like you're the most important person in that room.
This family, I've taught all of their kids. I've taught all 5 of Allie's kids. Okay.
But that's not all. We had yet another family surprise for Mrs. Carter.
Oh my goodness. These are the Manwarings. I've had all 4 of their girls.
She's more than a teacher. She is so invested in these kids. She leaves an imprint in them and in their hearts. It's inspiring. It's inspired me.
Sherry Carter is off to enjoy retirement and her family full-time. But saying goodbye to this, that is not easy to do.
My heart is just so full with so much joy.
But as you can see, a part of her will always be here at Andress Elementary.
Every single child who's come through this door has just a tiny piece of my heart.
And that was Maggie O'Mara reporting from Idaho. Coming up after the break, we will introduce you to the world's oldest archer who is still finding the target at 104 years old. Woo! And one woman is helping make sure kids get the support they need to grow into responsible adults. Meet the founder of Illuminating the Youth. A woman only in her 30s single-handedly decided she would be the one to help steer more than 100 kids in New Orleans to productive futures. Here's Meg Ferris.
You can grab a glove. Come on, Mama. This isn't a typical baseball practice. This young mother of two, that was your ball right there, is coach,
Right
teacher, mentor, counselor, confidant, grant writer, career advisor, event planner, fundraiser, and trustworthy friend
Woo, he ran!
for 150 youths.
Ball going infield, where we go?
Rochelle Smother has always been a high achiever, the valedictorian in her Carver graduating class. After college, 3 master degrees in criminal justice, education, and forensic psychology. But 5 years ago, this 5th grade teacher noticed she was the only adult out with her sons at East Shore Playground in the Little Woods area in New Orleans East.
I remember what it was like when I was a kid and all the things that we had in the community that kind of shaped me to be this person that I am today.
But she noticed all those things she had growing up in a home with a mom and dad and her 4 brothers were missing today.
And I was like, you know what? Instead of asking for it, I'm just going to create it.
So she did and started Illuminating the Youth, her organization to bring light into what she called a dark place.
Tell me how you brought them into the fold to trust you. It all started with normal conversations, just how you're doing today, how was school today, and then it was like, what would you like to see in the community?
Rochelle, who's affectionately called Miss Shelley by the children and teens, dug in, writing letters, grants, and knocking on business doors for donations. Her idea for adding horticulture came from a child's question who had no idea why seeds were in watermelons.
And they were like, wait, so if I take this seed from this watermelon right now, I can grow more watermelon? Yes.
She also planted the seed in their hearts that they too can go to college and have careers. She does mock job interviews, teaches them how to dress for success. Many have gotten those jobs. These young men said no other adult had ever taken an interest in them as she had.
Where do you think you'd be if someone like her wasn't guiding y'all? Be honest again.
Probably in the streets.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, probably in the streets or jail.
They need men out here. This is a Nord Park, and the lights don't even come on.
Coach James Joseph has put in the sweat equity mentoring youth for more than 50 years. He wants to see others help Rochelle.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Most of these kids you see here, there's no fathers in the home. Where the politicians, they saw you with the suit on. Come out here with your short pants on.
Abraham McNeil and Dr. Jeffrey Ambrose Jr. were so impressed with Rochelle, they became volunteers and sponsors.
She makes the children feel seen, and that's entirely critical at this point in time. These children need to feel seen and loved and supported and included.
It brings life into the community. It's so needed.
It's very, very hard for parents to provide and nurture. Unfortunately, we are in a society where you're working 12-hour shifts, and when you get home, you're like very, very tired.
She feel like my second mom. I go over there anytime I want.
Rochelle's mom and dad also stepped up to the home plate to help, adding to the reason why the seeds Miss Shelley is nurturing today are already growing into the productive adults of tomorrow.
That was Meg Ferris reporting from New Orleans, Louisiana. What do you think you'll be doing at 104 years old? Chances are you won't be shooting a bow and arrow. The world's largest archery tournament happened back in March. Among the 5,000 archers from 70 countries and all 50 states was the oldest participant. Lena Washington introduces us to Charlie Johnson. Take a look.
The old age doesn't bother me. It doesn't seem, I haven't caught up with it yet, because I still feel much younger than they were talking about 4 years old. You know, people ask me, what's my secret? I don't know. I think I just lived a normal life.
That's putting it modestly. Charlie has seen a lot over the last century. These days, he's happiest holding a bow and arrow and looking at a bullseye 20 yards away.
The joy of archery is to be able to say, I'm an archer, you know, and that means a lot.
He got hooked on archery through his golf buddies, and his wife Bonnie has been his biggest cheerleader.
But the main thing is when you draw, you learn all of this, and to stay focused, you know, until you come out there And then the release is just, that's the most beautiful part of it, is the release, you know. And seeing the aerosol, but staying focused, that's hard.
Charlie's been defying the odds his entire life. Of the 16 million Americans who served during World War II, less than 0.5% are still with us today.
Being drafted, you know, you never been out of the state, hadn't been no place, and all at once, so you get a letter that said, you got to leave home. You got to leave home. You got to come and join the Army, and you're looking around you and saying, why? But I said, I'm going to show them. I'm going to be the best damn soldier they ever seen. And I meant it. And I tried the hardest I could be. That's why I did so good in the Army.
Charlie accepted every challenge the Army threw at him. Danger was an afterthought.
And they put me on this ship to go to across the Pacific. And before I got out of sight of the Golden Gate Bridge, I felt like I wanted to die. I was so sick, seasick, you know. And then we went up the China Seas, all the way up to Luzon and the Philippine Islands, and we joined General MacArthur, and we followed him back down to Batangas. But I was on the way to Japan when they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, so I came back.
Back stateside, Charlie continued a life of service as a deacon and hospital chaplain. He'll turn 105 in June. He's not revealing his secret to longevity, but we know staying active and social are essential.
I love people. I love people. I love friends, you know.
Charlie's become the celebrity centenarian of the Vegas shoot.
And they just loved me there. Charlie, I want to take a picture of you. Can you take a picture of you? Can you take a picture of this?
He finished ahead of some competitors this year, but wasn't satisfied with his results.
And what happened, I didn't do very good at all. So I was just totally distracted.
So he'll keep aiming to improve in 2027.
I try to go good now. And I didn't go to shoot to win nothing anyway. I just enjoy it.
That was Lena Washington reporting from Arizona. And hey, maybe it's inspiration to just keep doing the thing that brings you joy, no matter how old you get. Alrighty, still ahead, a water rescue mission for a baby deer. Oh, look at the poor fella. We'll show you the moments first responders jumped into rising floodwaters. Fire crews in Indiana had a wild rescue that was caught on camera. Samantha Johnson shows us what happened.
With his rescue suit still on, Captain Joe Sinclair pushes through rushing waters to help another victim of the floods, this time a tiny baby deer.
Got him? Yep, come in.
It probably came downstream, 400 or 500 feet at least. So it'd been in there for a minute.
Captain Sinclair tells me there was no time to think, only act.
I jumped in. I was able, thank God, to line up with it because I knew if it got past me, you know, it wouldn't have turned out well. We went underwater a couple of times. I thought, uh-oh, but I tried to keep her up above my head.
In the pouring rain, the two made it to safety. And with the help of the local animal rescue, they got the fawn all dried off and warmed up. The spotted baby, likely just a few weeks old.
I mean, she didn't fight us. She was just, you know, she was calm the whole time. So, you know, if I feel like I can make a difference, I will. So I'm just doing my job.
Captain Sinclair is a firefighter of 40 years. In fact, he's in the Red Cross Hall of Fame for another rescue decades ago.
I pulled a kid out of an apartment fire in 1989. I think it's the adrenaline rush. You know, it's able to make a difference.
The wild scene giving a whole new meaning to the name Deer Creek. Madison Township Fire upholding the promise to serve and protect even our four-legged friends, too. In Morgan County, Samantha Johnson.
Wow. Happy ending to that one. That's it for this episode of Featured. Until next time, make it a great one.